next guest is also doing this for the first time tonight. I'm really excited to see him. He's super tall, so I feel like it would be comedic if he would like scrape his head. But I'm gonna bring him up with his own song. This is really fun.
When people meet me for the first time, they almost always ask me the same question. Why are you in my pantry, and what have you done with my baby daughter? At which point I show them pictures of their child, clothed in cashmere, reclining amongst piles of precious stones, feasting on white truffles and Sabruka caviar, and flanked by two majestic stallions. And I say, that's what I've done. I've given her a better life than you ever could have. One of my favorite comedy things is when somebody says something to me and I reply, that's what she said. Like this one time, my friend was like, you mean we have to be here by 5 in the morning even though the bus doesn't leave until 6:30? And I replied, that's what she said, and pointed at the woman at the ticket booth who had told me that. Who here likes zombie movies? One time, and when it was over, I came out to find the cinema deserted, except for one woman with Huntington's disease who was walking towards me. And it made me think about what a debilitating disease it is, and wonder if there was anything I could do to help. But there's not, because I have no experience as a neurologist. The best part about mirrored sunglasses is that sometimes people will use the reflective surface to check their appearance. And when they do, you can look deeply into their eyes and pretend for one fleeting moment that you are engaging in meaningful human contact. I went to the ear, nose, and throat doctor, and I asked him if it had been because of a lack of ambition or a learning difficulty that he hadn't been able to learn everything that the regular doctors had. I think that he was offended because then he diagnosed me with epiglottitis. Sometimes I think it would be really cool if I could talk to animals, but then I remember my dog Max, and I realized that it would probably just be annoying. I think that all he would want to talk about is Mad Men because he watches it constantly. Whenever there is a local unsolved murder or a suspicious death, I like to cut out all the newspaper articles, pin them to my basement wall, and draw red X's through the victims' faces. So that when I die, those families will finally have some closure. A few weeks ago, I went on a blind date with this girl, and although she had perfect vision, one thing that she couldn't see was that under the table I was jabbing my salad fork into my thigh hard enough to draw blood, because there's something in me that believes I deserve that pain. I think soggy bread is pretty gross, so I don't know why ducks like it so much. If I was writing a comedy movie, I would put in a scene where one roommate is having his girlfriend's family over for dinner, and for dessert, they are accidentally served a plate of brownies that the other roommate has made. The reason it won't be funny is that it turns out they're actually vegan brownies and nobody really likes them. One of the best practical jokes is when you invite somebody over for supper who is allergic to peanuts, and when he tells you about his allergies, you act like it's no big deal because the food that you're making does not contain peanuts. But then when he comes over, it turns out that your house and everything in it is made out of peanuts. And so even though he gets a nice home-cooked meal, he has to eat it outside in the snow, and you don't have any snow pants that you can borrow. If I was a chiropractor, I wouldn't have posters in my office that promoted good posture, because if too many people read the posters, then nobody would need me anymore. Instead, I would put up posters of my neighbor Stanley that said he was a dangerous child murderer, which would be a good practical joke, but I actually saw him murder a child once, and I don't think it's safe for him to be on the streets. I don't think that I would like to be half man, half animal, but if somebody ever forced me to choose, I have a good trick. I would choose to be half man, half minotaur, and then I would choose the half of the minotaur that was the man. Then I would smirk and say, "Looks like you've been fooled again, Dr. Sorensen," because the guy who forced me to choose is named Dr. Sorensen, and he's always trying to pull stuff like that.